Welcome to episode 4 of Leading Your Legacy. Wow, that sounds mad, you know. Hey, I'm so excited for this one right here because we have a very, very special guest today. Now, before we introduce our guest and let her sprinkle a little bit of a flavor and a sauce from the indie-verse, let me give you a little bit of flavor about this woman right here. Now, I had the pleasure of meeting this woman around a year ago and 2 months. That's correct? Year and 2 months ago. And you know when you meet someone a year and 2 months ago, you're like, oh, that's just around the road, man. Why are you speaking like this? There's a reason. So when I spoke to this woman, first and foremost, you know when you speak to someone or listen to them speak and you're like, you know your face does that screw face and it's serious because the level of depth of their character and their authenticity and their just genuine nature just really strikes you. That was me. And you know when you're in a room full of people who are genuinely value-driven and community-driven and you understand the perspective, but there's people there that like, they get it. And one thing I'm going to say, yeah, that she's going to be surprised I remember this, but when we got to the second day of that event that we went to, she was the first person there. And I remember she was there because she wanted to make sure that she was on point and she was sharp. I took note of that. I was like, rah, she's there first. Like, and I was really taken aback by that. But not only was it the fact that I met this person and we really connected in a really authentic way and I can really pleasure calling my sister and my friend, but also it's the fact that she's so value-driven in her community. So from the work that she's doing, which we're going to go into talking about, help people with the technology space, the social impact space, and the wider community. But boy, she does some things where when you hear it, you're like, you did what? With who? Yeah, it's fantastic. So I'm not going to take all the blessings away from her because I want her to bestow it upon you. But welcome, Indy. How are you feeling today?
I'm good. I've never had such an introduction in my life. Wow, it feels so special.
Come on, man. Honestly, it's real.
Don't stop. Oh my gosh, yes.
It's real. And I genuinely wanted to say more. But I was like, if I say more, yeah, like, I'm getting emotional as well, innit? I know, we're in the same boat. If I said more, yeah, it's just like, it doesn't do you the service that you deserve in terms of who you are, what you stand for, and the amount of people that you've been blessing, you know. When I was reading your bio, and I was reading the thousands of people that, and I'm even saw the specific numbers. You know when you see the 6 at the end of the number, you know that was documented to the T. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was documented to the T because you genuinely care about the scope and the vision of people that you affect. And, you know, I'm just really glad that, you know, we have the space and just to really share that and understand that from a perspective of your legacy, you know, what you're looking to create from your community, but more importantly, like your values and what you stand for. So, yeah, like I'm really happy to have you here. And I hope you're happy to be here as well.
What? Of course I'm happy to be here. I'm very, very happy to be here. I really appreciate that. I don't really know how to introduce myself. I feel like I do so many things, but actually
start from the beginning. Yeah.
The comment you just made about, you know, me introducing myself brings the most value. Actually, it doesn't, because I think a lot of what I do is to serve people. So in reality, it's not what I feel for myself. It's actually how I'm coming across to people and how I'm serving them. Yeah. So I don't feel like I've done enough for you. Right. And to hear all of those amazing things, it must mean that the small things I have done have had an impact. So I really appreciate that. I think that's really beautiful. But I'm Indy. Lovely to meet you all. Indy Love Gordon, to be exact. I am so many things. I am a founder. I am global head of programs and community for a training consultancy called Foundervine. My company is called Halo, and I know we're going to go into more detail about that. Yep. I am a motivational speaker. I am a coach. So I basically help people achieve their dreams, whatever that is, in whatever way they want to do that. My job is to ensure that everyone lives their life unapologetically.
Correct.
And I am a champion. I believe there is space for us all to win. So for me, I will champion you in anything you want to do and ensure you have everything you need. And then finally, I'm an angel investor. So I basically save money to give money
Come on.
because I'm still poor. But, you know,
Aren't we all,
I
man?
want other people to thrive.
Yeah.
So I save my money to give my money and watch their money grow. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
Lovely. And you know what it is? It's crazy because, you know, when you're involved in so many things and you're at the intersection of so many spaces, it's so intriguing that I found it to really curate who you are and how you develop yourself. So I'm really curious, just to strip it back a bit and start with like the indie who was on the come up, you know, before university, before music and entrepreneurship, and understand the intersection of that. Like, what do you feel like defined you as a person? Like, what were the key things would you say, like, when you spoke to people, like, what was the key things that you felt like, or maybe other people felt, that represented you as a person? Because I can imagine it may have been quite similar to how it is now, but at that stage of development and understanding who you are, I can imagine that it was still formulating in that perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. So indie is always on the come up, by the way. The version I was last year is a different version that I am today, and it will be a different version to next year. So I am always rising.
Take note of that. Yeah.
And I think that I need to be very clear. No matter what I've achieved, there's always more to achieve.
Yeah.
There's always more to do, not just for me, but for the people I serve.
Come on.
But everything starts from my mum for me. So I have to go even further back.
Go for it.
Who I am is a shadow of her. She is by far the most powerful and inspiring woman in my life. Not because she's my mother, but because she's a powerhouse.
Mm-hmm.
She is someone that taught that knowledge and wisdom are the things you need to achieve in this world. Money will always come and go. Money will always come and go. It starts with knowledge, which is knowing things, and then turns into wisdom, which is the ability to apply those things in the best way.
Got you.
So for me, being raised in a household where she valued education in whatever way you could do it, but education was key, was something that really turned me into a leader. It started that journey. I have severe dyslexia, but my mum always told me that my dyslexia isn't a hindrance, it's actually the best gift, because what it allows me to do is to see the world in the most creative and colourful way. And it means that how I view things and how I see things is so different. I have no limits because I have no boundaries, which means there is nothing in this world that I cannot achieve. And so when we talk about kind of like university, younger indie and the things that I went through, it's interesting because I was such a shy kid.
Really?
I think I am still a shy kid. We were talking about this the other day, and someone was like, where would you place yourself? Are you a introvert, an extrovert? I think when I was younger, I was an introvert.
Interesting.
But I would call myself an ambivert.
Ambivert. I've not heard that one before.
It's basically a mixture. So it's like certain situations, super reserved. I'm the type of person, I observe energies.
Right.
But once I'm comfortable, I can be loud, but I can also shift back into that kind of like calm energy as well. It depends on the space, the people, and the environment.
You were right, it's ambivert.
Ambivert. Yeah, we got it.
Ambivert.
We got it.
Hey.
We got it.
Sometimes I think I make up words. I literally think in my head, did you just make that up? You know, it's a dyslexia. It's okay if I did. That's what makes me special.
Of course. Agreed on that.
All words are made up.
That's very true.
Yeah.
That's
Hey.
very true. All words are made up. So, you know, one day I'm just going to create a very interesting word. I feel like the indie verse should be its own word.
Hey, come
but-
on, man. Hey, Oxford English
Yeah.
Dictionary, if you're listening, put that in right now. We're on to you still.
Love PR, and I'm sure you can make it happen.
Anything is possible.
Start a campaign on this. Start a campaign
Literally.
on it.
But when I was younger, I was extremely shy. And my mum was like, okay, we have to do something to bring you outside of your shell.
Yeah.
What do you want to do? She looked at me and she was like, you're really tall. Do you want to try basketball? I was like, okay. I was like, I mean, I don't think just because you're tall, you can play basketball. But she was like, no, you can. Did basketball, loved it, but it wasn't for me. And then I was fortunate enough to have the opportunity to go to the Brit school.
Oh, yeah.
And that school changed my life.
Grand for it. Wow.
Changed my life. I remember my audition day, walking in, and all of these kids had their parents, they had these expensive instruments, they had been studying at random schools for years, and I hadn't. I had never been trained in how to sing. I had never been trained in anything. And I remember I had to get up in front of all of these parents and students and basically audition in front of everyone. And it was crazy because back then, my mum was my confidence. So, and that's a big thing to say because when you're not with her, I didn't feel confident. She had to be right next to me for me to be confident. And that was the first experience I had where it was like, no, you have to be your own strength. You need to take what you've been taught and bring it with you. But your mum wants you to shine, so you need to shine with and without her. And I got in.
Come on.
And I loved it. If anyone's thinking of doing performing arts, the Brit School is the place to be. You
That's
have
not what anyone else I know has said. But, you know,
God.
apparently Brit School is hell for other people.
Oh, damn.
You had a unique experience for real.
Damn.
But the Brit School produced Leona Lewis, Adele, Amy Winehouse,
Exactly.
That's mad.
Jessie J.
Exactly.
Wait, what does that even
I don't
mean
know
exactly?
exactly.
Because just because it's a famous school and it's competitive, that means that a lot of the time people are dealing with a competitive and toxic environment.
Yeah, it's a performing arts school.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, what are you expecting?
I'm not saying that's exactly what I
It's
mean.
not an easy space to be in. Like, it is a performing arts
it's
school.
interesting.
Like, what made it
interesting
so
stuff.
hard
Yeah.
is that we did performing arts during the day,
Yeah.
and then we had to do twilight sessions.
All right.
That meant that in the evenings you would actually have to go study regular classes. So you would have to
nice.
go do English literature at night. You'd have to go do your maths and your science at night, just so that you could like get a well-rounded kind of like education. It wasn't just
mad.
performing arts, and so that
mad.
it's a very hard space to be in, and that's why they like if you got in, it was a privilege to get in because of how hard it is.
Heard
to
about
get
that
in.
school. Yeah.
Yeah, like a very interesting experience. But that was the start. It taught discipline. For me, I'm a firm believer discipline is everything. It doesn't discipline for other people isn't the biggest thing. Discipline for yourself is the
Mad.
biggest thing.
Yeah.
Do you have integrity for yourself? Can you make decisions and stick by it for yourself? Because if you can do it for yourself, then you can actually do it for anybody in the world.
Interesting
And that's
one.
such an important thing for me.
I don't think my clips
Yeah.
were getting
Loud.
loud.
Clicks
Why
up.
didn't they pick that?
And so yeah, like I'm a firm believer everything you do for others, do for yourself. Like and that's how it started for me. That's how everything started.
Yeah.
Going to the Brit School. I think this is something I don't tend to talk about a lot, but beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and I think everyone is beautiful. But I am very unconventional in terms of my beautifulness.
Yeah.
I am what everyone likes to call cute. I don't know how I feel about that. I'm too tall to be cute, but it happens. It happens. And I think going to a school like the Brit School, where actually you're surrounded by what people deem to be more conventional beauty, was a real kind of like eye-opener. It forces you to kind of like find your own confidence.
That's mad. I didn't think about that. Yeah.
I think when I was younger, it was a bit more of a problem because you're growing and like you're learning things. Now, I accept my tallness and my cuteness for
Come
what
on.
it is. It's
Come
okay.
on.
I'm wearing
Embrace
dungarees today. Look at me. I'm adorable.
Dungarees. Cheese.
But that taught me so many lessons about who I am today.
Yeah.
So for me, I am a disruptor. Everything I do is about reminding people that there isn't one single right way of doing things. There isn't one journey. There isn't one timeline. There isn't any expectations but your own.
Yeah.
And the pressure you feel isn't via other people, it's via you. Because you do not have to accept the way people engage with you. You do not have to accept the comments and the things that people say. All you have to accept is what you feel about yourself. And once you understand your power, there is nothing you cannot achieve in this world.
Man, that's a really, really powerful sentiment, and I really hope that those listening really take that in, because something I really learned within that younger journey of yourself was that you know, my mother was a really instrumental part of this process of retaining the power within myself. But then the level of discipline I had to obtain in order to retain that level of power can only then allow me to build that power over a period of that youth. And I think for the young people right now, that's a really important statement, to really get the idea of manifesting greatness within themselves before they're ready to shine fully. Just still touching on that before we understand more about you going to university and developing the entrepreneurial flair that you really cultivated. What was it that you felt helped to sustain you through those periods of insecurity when you was in that period in the Brit school? Because I can imagine if you said like you had to redefine what beauty meant to you and understand those expectations, you had to figure out ways to, you know, feel more at ease with you. Did you do anything in particular to help with that? Or was it just something that you naturally got about due to the confidence of your mother or any other external factors?
First and foremost, I'm a born-again Christian.
Yeah.
That is my foundation. My mother is my guardian, but God is my father.
Yeah.
He is my rock and my foundation. All that I am
Come on.
is because of him. And now that I look back, I know he was taking me on a journey. And sometimes in order to get to the great point, you have to be broken down to be rebuilt.
Right.
And that's what he did.
Damn.
And he did that through showing me things that felt hard, but actually made me stronger.
Yeah.
And it's only until you reflect that you realize how strong you've been made. And so for me, it was a lot about trying to get to know God, because I was brought up in a Christian household, but I personally think there's a difference between being brought up in the household but truly understanding who God is and what he does for you. And that was a big thing. And the community as well. Some of my best friends I met at Brit school.
Right.
And I'm a small community type of person because I am ride or die. I have the community where they will tell you that your hair looks wild today.
She said wild!
But they will always also then tell you, doesn't matter if it looks wild, you're still beautiful.
Come on,
everyone
but
has
just
a
know,
wild
innit?
day, but you
Yeah.
need to know. You're looking a bit janky today.
You keep it janky,
Like, what's
a
happening?
bit janky with it.
And that's important to me because I don't need lies. What I need is love
True.
and empathy.
True.
And that means sometimes saying, it's not the one. Maybe not that outfit, but
Speaking the truth.
Still
doesn't
beautiful.
mean you have to
Yeah.
be-
True.
Exactly.
There you go. I love that one.
exactly.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes people think that you can't speak the truth because they think it will hurt you even more. I know who I am. I'm a very cute person. It's okay. That's not a negative thing to say. I have fat cheeks. How can I not be adorable? It just is what it is. Like,
That's true.
that doesn't mean that I'm any less attractive. That doesn't mean I'm any less beautiful. That doesn't mean that people look at me and be like, she's not pleasing to look at. And who cares about any of that? It just means that I am who I am. And God doesn't make mistakes.
Yeah, man.
And now I know that. He doesn't make mistakes. I'm perfect the way I am. Yes, he decided to make me extra long for some reason and give me a bobble fat head. That's just like, but you know what? When
That's
he
true.
made me, he was like, she's perfection. So
Yeah.
WAB
Come on.
there
legs,
she goes.
Come on.
WAB legs and presenter head.
Literally. It's like,
These descriptions
I
are
was
killing
just-
me, man.
I just often sit there and I just think, so what was he doing on that day when he just decided to create Indie Gordon? What was he watching, looking at, you know?
Remember watching the Friends?
Yeah. But I know I'm favoured. And that's the thing
Yeah.
about it. Some people are really unsure, like, how they feel. It's really weird. I don't say this in a cocky way at all.
Yes,
Like,
ma'am.
life has been terribly hard. But I know I am favoured.
Yeah,
Because
come on.
he's kept me alive every time there has
Yeah.
been a challenge in my life. He's told me, no, this is just character building.
You're done, man.
There's so much more for you to do.
I can
so
relate to that.
learn from it, get back up, and keep moving. But you've got stuff to do.
That's powerful, and I'm really glad that you talked about how faith and Christianity really helped to galvanize your spirit during that time, because I think, you know, when you have those periods of insecurity and self-doubt, it's hard to figure out how do you back up yourself, especially when you're led by values that are more than just about the external success, the adoration, the praise, the awards. For you to get that, you need to have that level of security. And I'm really glad that, you know, you really sustain that perspective from Brit School and really try to navigate that as you move forward and grow into your womanhood. So I think that's really beautiful. And in terms of, you know, you going into, you know, the intersection of music entrepreneurship away from Brit School, like, what was that transition like for you as somebody who had now developed that understanding and perspective of looking after insecurity and self-doubts? And yeah, what was that like for you, just more broadly? What was it like?
It was a roller coaster. Nothing is easy. Nothing is simple. I don't even know how I made it out alive.
Damn.
I think it's important that you be honest, though. We talk about life like it's a rose-tinted fairy tale.
Yeah.
And it's not. Like, the happy ever after is there, but the journey is treacherous for a reason. And so transition from kind of like Brit School to university and that shift in life was like really hard for me.
Yeah.
It was really hard. I actually think university was harder than college.
Damn.
Yeah, because you go from being a kid in your mum's house to having to be a grown up. What do I know about being an adult? Trust me, I'm not even that right now.
We're still learning.
Literally, I call my mum pretty much every week. Like, what do I do here? She's like, what? This big woman, why are you calling me? This is how you raised me to come to you.
You know, do you do.
Literally, I think she secretly enjoys it, to be honest. So,
Yeah.
but
Mum stopped starting.
yeah, very true. But in the midst of chaos, there is light. And I was raised in a house where my mum, she doesn't care what you study as long as you go and study. For her, it's about experiencing. It's about learning life in whatever way. So for me, I had the opportunity to either be signed straight out of college.
Oh yeah.
Or go to university. And my mum left the choice to me. And it was an interesting one because I was on the verge of signing with like Warner Music.
Mad.
And
that's crazy.
I remember what's so funny is that one of their offices are here in this area.
Oh man.
And I remember the last day I met with them, I literally came to this area. They gave me a bag of CDs. I had started writing for an artist. I was doing so much.
Yeah, you were getting in the industry.
I was getting there. And my mum was like, what do you want? And I said, I want it all. I don't know. I want everything.
Yeah.
And so she was like to me, well, music will never leave you and you can always have that. But if you go down this route, it pigeonholes you. If you go down this route in terms of music, entrepreneurship, life, the choice is yours. You can be and do anything you want. But she left it up to me and I decided to go to university. I still do music. I still do all of those different things. It's very different now. But I do it because music, I think, has saved my life so many times. And I think it's a gift that God has given me to keep me sane. But going to uni was both the hardest and best experience of my life.
Mad.
And I did some of my greatest music-related things whilst I was in uni. But then I became an entrepreneur. I found a new passion when it comes to helping people. So actually, the place I'm in now, it's really interesting because you think about it and you're like, you were at a time where it's like the blue pill, the red pill, indie. What do you want to do? Do you want to stay in the matrix or wake up? And Morpheus. I think I got out. Like,
shout out Morpheus.
Yeah. I'm cool with it. I just see him now. Get out in here.
The pills on pills, they're boxing gloves.
Literally. I told you already, Indy, get out. Yeah, but it was life-changing.
Yeah.
University, nothing was off limits for me. New experiences, new people, but also hard as well. As I said, I've got severe dyslexia. My brain does not operate in a exam style of way. So I did music and entrepreneurship in my undergraduate.
Yeah.
And I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
I loved having a community of people that I could perform with and engage with. I loved the creativity of entrepreneurship and building things. My brain thinks in such a big way.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved that. I loved that creativity. I was shocked when I got a 2-1, not because I'm not an intelligent person.
you're busy.
I am very intelligent. It's just the style of learning. I just didn't think I would do it. And I did it. And I was like, wow, it's smarter than you thought. And that for me was such an eye-opener. I think that was also a defining moment, because even when I didn't believe in myself at all that I was ever going to get that type of grade, like zero doubt, zero like confidence.
Mad.
Zero confidence. Yeah, zero confidence. But God was like, no, you don't tell you who you are. I tell you who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Here you go. So, thank you.
Come on.
My strength and my greatness is found in you because you build me up. I get that now.
You're
Thank
done,
you.
man.
Yeah.
Jeez. That's amazing, man. And you know what? I feel like when you're in that kind of space where you're learning about yourself and you're starting to really question, so what direction am I heading in? How am I going to head down it? And then you get that imposter syndrome. I think it can really either make you, or can not even break you, but it can strip you down and then try to recreate a whole new pathway for you. And what I also really like was the fact that, like, when you was in that process, you had the decision of having short-term success or build a long-term foundation for yourself. And the short-term success could have led to signing with Warner and then being like, yeah, I'm with Warner, walking with the shades like, don't touch me, I'm famous.
I would never. She's lying. She would.
It's so easy though, because especially when you're so young and you're so vulnerable in that space, it's like you can literally have everything in your heart might desire, all the popular artists, all the industry dinners at such a young age. You're like, oh, my days of living a dream. But you chose intentionally to build that foundation, and I really like this.
But that wasn't easy though, because by the time I had to make that decision, I had performed at Glastonbury in the largest indoor tent. I had been, I'd performed with Leona Lewis on the Brit Awards.
That's weird.
I had been on ITV. I had
really
done so much, but it's really interesting because people often ask me, do you regret it? Not for 1 second. Music isn't gone. It still exists. That just wasn't the path of music I was supposed to take.
Of course,
This path is the path, doing different things, but my focus is, it's more. I believe my purpose is so much bigger than what it would have been if it was just music. But now it's so many more things.
That's amazing, man. And in retrospect, you can really see that. And I really want to go into that element of entrepreneurship where, you really start to figure out what kind of entrepreneur that you was, because from my perspective, from what I'm listening to anyway, it sounds like your journey into securing your identity within entrepreneurship, in that intersection of your love of music, your love of people and community and empowering others, is all born down to your faith and how that faith really galvanizes you. So what was that journey into discovery of your entrepreneurship like in the early stages? What was it like for you? And was there any moments in that journey where, you really click for you, like, this is my legacy, like, this is who I am, this is Indie Love Gordon, like, in that space? Or was it multiple spaces that you occupied in that time? Quite a long-winded question, but you can break it down.
But we love that. I think for me, I realized that entrepreneurship was the journey I wanted to go on with my first business. I'm a serial entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And I created my first business whilst I was in my first year of uni.
Yeah.
The business was called Curve Apparel.
Right. Yeah.
And the aim of the business was to do a few things. It was a clothing brand, but separate to it being a clothing brand, it was a space to change the narrative of how people felt about themselves. I had a concept. I wanted to run opportunities, experiences that brought confidence out in people. So we would do a photo shoot and you would learn to walk, stand, think, feel with confidence. That stuff is sexy, by the way.
Come on.
That is a sexy energy to have.
Come on.
We would do fashion shows for men and women.
Man.
And the aim was that I taught people how to love themselves.
Yeah.
I then taught them how to live in that love. And then from then on, they had to go and liberate others.
Man, crazy.
So love, live, liberate.
Mad.
And I did that for a few years, engaged hundreds of people in Kingston, turned into a really big thing to where kind of like Kingston Council wanted me to run programs for younger kids.
That's crazy.
And I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And I would never forget a moment. I actually put together an open mic night as part of it.
Come on.
And everyone on the program had the opportunity to get on the stage and do whatever they wanted.
Don't know.
There was safe space. Whoever you were, bring it.
Like cartwheels as well and
that. Roly-polies, cartwheels, all of it.
Eat fire, cheese.
It was welcome because creativity isn't one thing.
Yeah, that's weird.
You know, it looks very different. And I got on stage, I did a performance. I got off stage, I sat back down, and a young guy called Kevin walked up on stage, and all he wanted to do was talk to us. And I was like, interesting, okay. And he started off by saying he wanted to just have a conversation because for the last 2 years, he's basically lived in isolation. Wow. He was emancipated when he was 15, which basically meant that he was separated from his parents and became a legal adult at 15.
That's mad.
And had to look after himself.
That's crazy.
So he had people around him, but he had no one that truly listened to him. There's a big difference between listening to speak and listening to truly understand.
I've been there. Yeah.
And no one was listening to understand. And he just wanted to talk to us. And he started off by saying, I have never felt so heard in my life. And for me, this is both the most beautiful but saddest time of my life. And that was a defining moment for me, because we often think that in order to create great things, they have to be huge.
Yeah.
When in reality, some of the most powerful achievements in this world are small things that you don't even know are happening. All he needed was someone to listen to him. I created this big project, but he didn't need the bigness. He just needed the good intention, and that changed his life. We still talk today.
Man.
He runs his own business.
Jeez, come on, shout out,
He's
Kev.
married.
Oi!
It's a beautiful thing.
Love it.
And he always says, if it wasn't for you, I would never have been where I am. And I'm like, it's got nothing to do with me. I create the space, but you have to do the work.
Of course, that makes sense.
It's got nothing to do with me. And that was a defining moment, and it still is till today, because even when things get hard, I have to remind myself that I said that I would always create a space. I would always be someone that would give all that I have to see people thrive. Because I want to hope that when I am down, people will do the same for me. Yeah,
for sure. That's a really important thing to know, and I think that ending point of, you know, hoping that, you know, the way that we build together as a community is really something that, you know, is really important. And it's actually something that I think during the show that we're really trying to foster, because I think, you know, in these kind of times, people are very isolated, even more than ever. And I don't know who I was talking to you about it, but people see way more polarized. You know, everybody just seems like, you know, they're in their own bubbles and nobody seems to be connecting with each other. It's just so fragmented. So, yeah, and I can really see that sentiment. And on that note of, you know, being in your space and trying to grow into who you are, you know, I know you've been incredibly successful on your entrepreneurship journey, and, you know, it's led you to work with an amazing team at Foundervine and, you know, make your startup Halo, you know, which I'd love to talk about in some detail. However, before that, I really love you to just give a perspective to the audience with regards to, like, when you're in your space in these moments, like, what has been the key challenges that you faced in your world that have really made you either feel like that community has been there, or even make you feel like, you know, it made you understand more what community could look like to you in those spaces when you've gone through these challenges in entrepreneurship?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest thing is the bubble thing that you're speaking about. I think it's also a mindset thing. I think one of the biggest challenges is the way I sometimes, and I know other people do this, but I'll speak for myself, I lock myself into my old way of thinking.
Yeah.
And it can be really hard to get out of that, thinking that you are not good enough, that you can't achieve, that you won't achieve. And what's really interesting about building community is that as soon as you get out of that mindset, you then realize that the person next to you was thinking and feeling the exact same thing, but no one was talking to each other.
Yeah.
And it's just like, just talk to your friend, talk to your neighbor, please,
Relax.
because you're both stressed.
Yeah.
You're both wanting to achieve.
Of course.
But you're so trapped in your own mind. You're so trapped in your own negative thoughts that actually it becomes hard to not just build community, but allow community to thrive.
Yeah.
Because you can be in a space with people, but nothing is happening.
Yeah, for real.
And that's a really sad thing, because talking is by far the most powerful thing that makes the biggest changes. Even now, like, this is so therapeutic to sit here and be like, yeah, come a long way.
Trust me.
And then to hear some of the things you guys are talking about, and it's like, we're not that dissimilar from each other.
No.
You know, we may be different genders, we may come from different walks of life, but we have gone through similar struggles, whether that's mental or physical, which has brought us to this moment. And it's really important that actually, as I build community, I'm as authentic as possible. And that means saying that life has been, is, and will be hard sometimes.
For
and
sure.
even me saying yes to coming to talk to you today, it's funny because I do a lot of speaking, but people think it's easy and it's not. Like, I find this stuff really hard because I know I'm someone that likes to draw things out of people, but I really struggle when people try and draw it out of me. So bad at this. so bad at it,
happens,
but it is
isn't it?
something I am trying to get better at, being an open book. It's okay to be an open book.
For sure. And I think people appreciate that because, you know, I know we've spoken a lot about, you know, the challenges that you have in terms of, like, how when you're building community, how to pour into yourself and pour into, like, your space. And I think it's definitely one that a lot of overachievers have because they're so used to looking after other people that they don't really have that person to look after them because they're so busy looking after the world that, you know, they haven't hold the weight of the world on their shoulders. And I really love to know, like, you know, as you've, you know, gone into your entrepreneurship journey, like, particularly when it comes, like, to health and how you've handled that, like, what have been the key lessons that you've learned whilst dealing with your health, like, in these moments?
Firstly, I'm not good at this, and I won't sit here and say that I'm good at this. One of the worst things about me is that I do not know how to prioritize myself. My mum always says to me, your kindness will be your downfall, but she also then follows it up with, but it will be your blessing as well. I am really bad when it comes to looking after myself, and this has been the biggest journey I've recently been on because I'm type 1 diabetic, I've had cancer, I've been on this journey of trying to figure out how to exist whilst also staying healthy, whilst also continuing to support people. So I will never sit here and say that I know how to do it, because
Of course.
I'm just trying to figure it out right now.
Yeah.
But what I will say is that I've humbled myself enough to know that sometimes we have a hero mindset where we think we have to give everything
Yeah.
to allow other people to be everything.
Self-sacrifice.
And you don't.
Yeah.
You don't. Actually, you're doing yourself and everyone around you a disservice. Akil, I want to give you everything. I want to see you thrive in this world. So there is nothing you couldn't come and ask me, and I wouldn't try and figure it out for you.
Yeah.
But in order for me to give you everything, something I've realized lately is that I need to hibernate sometimes.
Of course.
And so Akil will message me, and I won't even.
Yeah, she airing me.
No,
She airing my blue tick.
No,
Blue tick. She get a blue tick now. She give me the blue tick.
Not blue tick anymore. Stage grey.
Hold on a second. Never an air.
It's a delayed response.
Thank you. Thank you. You know what it is? Sometimes I am so exhausted that I don't even know how to respond.
Yeah, it's calm. Yeah.
And I realize I thought you always had to have the best of me. I used to think that of everyone in my community, I should only give them the best of me. But what I realized, actually, sometimes seeing the worst of me is actually also seeing the best of me, because you see the full picture.
Yeah.
And that's important as well.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes I do have to stop and take a breather. So for me, I'm still trying to figure out what it means to build myself whilst building a community.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really challenging. And as somebody who's into community building myself and curating a space people feel comfortable and share, what they're going through, it's not particularly easy, because you have to be of service to others as well as service to yourself. And to be of service to both simultaneously will mean one will get neglected at one point in time, and you have to pick and choose when that is. However, I would definitely like to know, and I think will be of value to those that are listening, of you as a person in service of your community and in service of your legacy. What do you feel is the work that you've done which has really shown that legacy or that impact to your world in its best form?
That is such a humongous question.
It doesn't have to be one thing.
What have I done?
What have I been doing? Too much.
You tell me what I've done.
Yeah. I think from my perspective, the work you've done with Foundervine has been really, really touching, because, knowing how the team look up to you and how, you have to supervise them by working with all these different brands, different companies, to create these accelerator programs to help develop these startups. Really good, creating the spaces for incumbent businesses to be able to pitch their ideas and being able to talk about, what does it mean to me to be able to run my business. I think it's been really impactful, because it just gives them a space to think more entrepreneurially. That's a couple of things at the moment. Uganda itself is a different perspective.
That's so interesting. And I don't know why I found that question so hard, because I think for me, everything I do is it's baseline.
I think of other stuff as well, but yeah, go on.
I can hear what you're saying, but for me, everything is baseline. It's the bare minimum of what you deserve. It's the bare minimum of what everyone in my community deserves. So when I think about Foundervine and all the work I do there, it is the bare minimum, especially for people that are unrepresented and underserved.
Mm-hmm.
The core mission of Foundervine is to ensure that everyone has access to the tools and the resources they need to build the businesses of tomorrow.
Yeah.
But we live in a world where things aren't equal and things aren't fair. So what I do is I bring in a baseline. Yeah. And I can actually see what you're saying in terms of the impact. But I guess because I'm in it, I'm looking at it now I'm just giving them what they rightly deserve. There's nothing more, nothing less. It's what you deserve. But I get it. For people, that is a big thing, because so often people don't get what they deserve.
Less equity.
Yeah, but for me, empowering founders is And it's not just founders, it's creatives, it's leaders, it's
Mm.
anybody that wants to change their world.
Yeah.
It has been an honor for me. It's been an honor. I wish I had a Foundervine when I was younger,
Yeah.
a team of people. And let me be really clear, I am a servant to my team.
Don't know. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
serve them.
Yeah.
They are the ones that are on the ground building these business communities, empowering the leaders of tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
My job as their boss is to serve them,
Yeah.
to make sure that they have everything they need to thrive so that the founders thrive.
That's it.
I think sometimes we look at levels and assume the higher you are, the easier it is. My life should be hard because their life is hard. They have to deal with people, with partners, with money, with stress, with issues. So I am their servant. And watching my team empower founders has been a game changer. Over the weekend, we ran what I like to call a startup festival called Found Fest.
Yeah.
And it was by far one of the best things I'd seen one of my
Beautiful.
managers do. I mean, yeah, you were there, so
Yeah.
you know. But it was amazing because, let me just put it into context for you. There was almost 400 people at that event. That style of project will take someone like a year to set up if that's their only project. It's intense.
I can only imagine.
It's intense. My manager, Jen, did that while setting up 3 other complex projects exactly at the same time. She's a force to be reckoned with.
It's crazy.
And that is why I
It's a
serve her.
Mazzolini. Yeah.
And that is why I serve her.
Come on.
Because I am developing powerhouses.
Mm-hmm.
People that can build and move with ease
Mm-hmm.
and just be disruptors in this space.
Yeah.
And so this is what I say when I say baseline.
Yeah.
Imagine if we had more time, more resources, more energy. Imagine
It's long.
what we could do.
It's long.
Game is over.
Game over.
Literally.
You know what I'm saying? I think that's an incredible perspective for us to really ruminate on as a community, because I think, when I say us as a community, I'm in the global diaspora who have remnants of their ancestry traced over multiple jurisdictions and multiple lineages. I think it just shows so much power in our collective unity for what we can go on to do with our vision and our purpose at the core of who we're trying to become. And in that vein, I really love them to know, in terms of, like, you know, from your perspective, in a summary, what is your legacy to your perspective, and what is the legacy you're looking to create from here on in that's going to hopefully, you know, disrupt and shake up the world in the way that you see it?
My legacy, I'm going to be very clear. One of the biggest issues in this world is unconfident people.
Yeah.
An unconfident person is like a rotting piece of fruit. If you put other fresh fruit with a rotting piece of fruit, it corrupts the whole fruit basket.
Yeah.
My sole purpose on this earth is to stamp out that unconfidence.
Yeah.
And give power to everybody that needs it. That is my purpose. That is my legacy. Because if you win, I win. If you win, my family wins. If you win, the next generation wins. So what that means in terms of the work I do, that means giving everyone access to tools and to resources. That means giving time. That means giving introductions. That means coaching and mentoring. That means being an advocate. That means whispering into your ear on the days that you feel like you can't I will remind you that you can.
Mm-hmm.
That means being honest when things will be hard, but reminding you that you are not alone.
Mm-hmm.
That means kicking you when you need to get up,
Yeah, man.
but letting you rest when you need a moment.
Mm.
That means letting you know that in this world where it feels alone, there is always going to be one person that is rooting for you.
Yeah.
That is my soul mission. People. That is who I am. At the core of who Indie Love Gordon is, it is people.
Yeah.
It is seeing everyone thrive
Mm.
in the most beautiful way. That is my legacy. Because then it goes back to the beginning when you were doing this beautiful introduction. I didn't tell you to do that.
Mm-hmm.
You did that.
Yeah.
Because of the few conversations and experiences we've had together.
Yeah.
We've only just started in our long-term friendship.
Of course.
Imagine what 10 years down the line it's going to look like if, if this is what we're working with.
Yeah.
That is legacy.
You don't know.
That is power to me.
No, I love that story. And I think that there's so much beauty wrapped into that sentiment of uplifting unconfident people. And actually, weirdly enough, when you said that, I just had this mad idea for a short film. Which it's just weird, isn't it? You know, the ones it just triggers. I'm like, that's crazy. And I'll share it off camera. I'll share it off camera. Yeah, I'm gonna wrap. Yeah, I'll talk about that. But yeah, it's just really lovely because that sentiment is one that I think can create a seismic impact. And it reminds me of the whole idea of paying it forward, whereby every blessing that you have, you're always paying it forward. So you're able to allow that seismic impact to happen where everybody is supporting each other. And it's an ecosystem of love and unity as opposed to people trying to disrupt everybody's faces negatively and trying to almost break down everyone else. So it's tearing people down as opposed to building them up, which I've always been an advocate for building people up because it just makes more sense. And in terms of building people up, is there any final message you'd like to relate to them before we give them a little conclusive statement? Just in terms of like what you want to leave with them or your top tips in terms of your journey, which I think we just have to discuss a bit more because there's a lot of things we never go into. I'm like, I can't, if I went with this right now, like we're going to have a 2-hour conversation. Do you know what I'm saying? But is there anything that you felt like, tips you'd like to leave them or perspective?
Yes, I have a few tips.
Go for it.
Firstly, your dreams can become a reality if you truly believe that they are worth achieving. Not if someone else believes that they are worth achieving, if you believe that they are worth achieving. The bottom of one mountain is the top of someone else's. So no matter where you are going, it is a journey, and it is so important that you keep moving forward. Don't look back. There is nothing for you back there. Build community. Find the people in your life that will ride or die for you. If you were to say to me, Akil, let's go rob a bank, I'd be like, say less. My car, your car, Uber. I don't drive Uber. Find that community of people that will love you through all seasons. Because they will be your foundation. And for me, that also includes God. Those are the core things that I think people need to understand. Yeah, it's such an interesting thing because I think I could talk about this further. And I want to talk about it forever. But if I could leave anyone with one final thing, I would say the time and the energy you give to other people, give it to yourself. Like, just believe in yourself. And that's easier said than done. But remind yourself every day, you are here for a reason, you have a purpose, you have a mission, you have a vision. Take every step you need to achieve it. And the people that believe in you will follow you on that journey. And if someone doesn't, it wasn't meant to be.
That's powerful, man. That's so powerful. And it's not even a pun because it's not even intended, but you deserve a halo for the work that you're doing, because I feel like you know, you're really doing God's work in terms of, you know, you trying to, you know, be benevolent in how you build communities and you build enterprises. I think it's really touching to see that, because I think in a lot of business conversations, a lot of people are just really focused on doubling down on the profit and then trying to take all the credit for the success. You know, it's just marking themselves as the all-knowing guru who can only credit themselves for their success, which I think is quite sad, because it doesn't allow that longevity to last, because you're only talking about yourself in the lens of your success, whereas, you know, where's all the other players? Where's all the other people? Why is it just about you? You know, and I think that idea of community and service, of love and building people up and making people believe in themselves, I think it's definitely something that we definitely share in alignment in our missions. So thank you for sharing that, and thank you guys for tuning in. This has been a really heartfelt and really it transcends time, this conversation. So hopefully we can go back in time and look at this conversation and really look back at it. But it's been beautiful. Please share your thoughts and comments as usual. Thank you for coming, Indy. Pleasure, absolute pleasure. And we're going to see you soon. Sky!
Bye.